My name is Rob Sherwood, and I'm the CTO at Big Switch Networks. Today we're going to be talking about our Big Monitoring Fabric, previously renamed from the Big Tap Monitoring Fabric. So, how many of you actually deploy or are familiar with deploying out-of-band monitoring networks, either tap aggregation or network packet brokers or something like that? You know, just a bunch of you. I've been seeing a couple no's, so let me just go through this just quickly. There are lots and lots of really smart, really interesting companies that if you will sell you a box, that if you hook that box up to a tap port or a span port or something like that, that will tell you crazy interesting things about your network. What happens is actually that there are so many of these companies that A, want to sell you many different types of boxes, and B, that you want, once you see the value of these boxes, you want to see it everywhere in your network. You actually end up having to build a dedicated monitoring network to connect all of the tap and span ports to all of the interesting tools. So as you scale out this system, it actually becomes its own network issue. But once you do this, you actually get this great visibility through everything in your network. The problem is the existing tools to do this are all big boxes. So what our Big Cloud Fabric does is, using exactly that same breakout big switch architecture that we talked about with lots of one-use switches, we build a collection of hop-by-hop one-use switches to connect all of your span ports, all of your tap ports, all of the sources of data out of your production traffic, your production network, without touching your production network, and programmatically connect it to your intrusion detection systems, you're somebody running Wireshark. If you're an ISP, you might have a high-end voice over IP like quality assurance monitoring tool. There's just a lot of tools in this world that you would like to have kind of everywhere in your network, and with something like Big Tap, you can actually do that. We talked about Big Tap last time. In the interest of time, I'm actually going to focus only on kind of the cool new things. There's actually, we'll see if we can put a link into the Network Field Day video from Network Field Day 8. But a cool new thing that we haven't talked with you guys about is this special inline mode. And with inline and the additional out-of-band, we can actually achieve this pretty nice security property of basically being able to program security everywhere through your network. So what do I mean specifically about that? So imagine you've got a DMZ, you've got an untrusted zone, you've got a trusted zone. Normally, if you wanted to put things in that DMZ, an intrusion detection device, a firewall, load balancer, something like that, you would actually have those physically inline. You would connect the firewall to the egress router, to the load balancer, to the intrusion detection device, and you've got a whole bunch of single points of failure, and that's kind of suboptimal. Worse, if you want to upgrade those, if you want to experiment with something else, you have to schedule downtime. That's all very suboptimal. With this, and we're going to have a demo about this, you can actually drop a redundant pair of our switches inline, and then service chain various functions into it. So you can have a collection of firewalls, because maybe one is not enough for your traffic, or maybe you're trying a couple of them and you're trying to decide which one is the best vendor. You can, in the service chain, configure some of these as required services, meaning that if that service goes down, you need to break the connection, because you're not going to allow unfirewalled traffic into your network. But if maybe an intrusion detection system is optional, meaning that if that goes down, you actually just want traffic to be routed around it. There's a bunch of interesting things we can do here. I don't want to steal all of Mustafa's thunder for the demo, but this is actually what the demo is going to be. I won't dwell too much on this other than to say, compared to legacy network packet brokers, our Big Monitoring Fabric actually feature by feature can do everything that they can do with more specialized hardware.
Now, do you have your own IDS and all
so
that?
We are actually, think of us as the plumber that connects those. We partner for all of those things. We actually don't provide any of those tools ourselves, although we are getting more intelligence in the fabric itself, and we'll talk about that. But the more complicated, there are complete dedicated companies for being a firewall, being an intrusion detection system, and we partner for those functions.
Providing the framework that ties
exactly.
together. Okay.
I want to say it's dumb plumbing, but it's not just dumb.
Do you do any native VXLAN stripping by any chance?
The hardware we have is capable of it. We actually haven't had the need from the customer side yet. It's something we'd look at. Other questions here? Cool new thing that we announced yesterday. We have added a DPDK-based software service node. So the idea is there's a couple of functions that we can't do in the hardware, in the Broadcom-based hardware. For example, packet deduplication. And so we can actually accomplish that with our own service node doing service chaining before it goes on to a destination.
Sorry, what does DPDK stand for?
Oh, sorry. Intel has published this really cool set of libraries for doing really fast packet forwarding on standard servers.
Oh, okay.
And DPDK, the Data Path Development Kit, is its name. A bunch of customers, like if you guys have filed taxes, like in 2014, you probably used our product. But we've got some pretty big name customers using this. This is a link from a Network World article. I will skip, so we've got big financial institutions using this. I gave a detailed overview of this use case in the last Network Field Day. I'm getting flashes from the back that we're running out of time. So I will unfortunately skip the details of this, but a lot of this is available in Network Field Day 8. Ditto with large mobile service providers. These guys are tapping before, after, and during a bunch of the crazy machinery that happens inside your mobile packet networks. And it's a very useful way to figure out what's going on, how much you should be billing, and where problems are. Another use case that I mentioned previously is these tools are actually expensive. Maybe you don't need them in all of the remote sites. You can actually use our software to tunnel traffic back selectively. And this is a specific customer case with the inline mode that I was talking about. So going from an untrusted network to a trusted one, they actually have even the next step of integration where they have different policies depending on the source and for which destination it goes to. So if it comes from firewall A, it goes through these sets of services before it goes to switch A. But if it goes from firewall B, it goes to the same services, but not all of the same services. So this is actually programmable. And then it goes to switch B. So
Rob, in the path visualizations you were showing us earlier, would service insertion also be reflected?
that is our demo.
Aha.
So let's come back to that. And also, of course, we can implement, so with the inline mode, we can pair with our offline, like the standard big monitoring fabric deployment by spanning to it. So these are very complementary technologies. And with that, I will jump to Mustafa's demo to answer your question. We don't have a lot of time, so.
I know. Okay, can you hear me? Let me introduce myself and then we'll jump directly to the demo. My name is Mustafa Mansour. I am the technical marketing engineer in Big Switch here. So what I want to show you today is a demo for how to insert or to configure a big chain, the BMF inline solution that we have. This will be your typical topology for a data center. On the top, you have the WAN router or the border router. At the bottom here, you have the production LAN switch. To insert big chain or BMF inline solution, it's extremely simple. You only need two endpoints that will define your physical chain. So it's layer one, bump in the wire. And then I will start creating services or service profiles that basically map the tool properties. What kind of traffic you want to send to the tool, whether the tool is fail open or fail closed, any properties that are associated with this tool, we are going to put it in a service profile, and then we will attach it to the chain. So in the demo, I will create one service profile. I will add more service profiles so you can see having multiple services to form a service chain. How would they behave and how the traffic will go through. I also have the option to create an access list based span. So whatever you see in the chain, you can span it out. You can get a replicated copy of that packet, you send it to your out-of-band monitoring tools. So the same box can do out-of-band, can send traffic to out-of-band monitoring tools and will send traffic to the inline monitoring and security tools. Everything you see here is done from a single pane of glass, which is the controller. Whether it's CLI, GUI based, it doesn't matter, still your controller will be the single pane of glass for configuration, for troubleshooting, for everything. Just to give you an idea about what's going to happen, let's say I configured the first service to see all the traffic. Then whenever I send the traffic, it will go to service 1. I configure the second service to only see web and HTTP. Then it will get the HTTP traffic. But if I send non-HTTP traffic, like let's say UDP or something else, then it will only go to one of the services, it will skip the second one. To see that in action, I will move to the controller. So this is the switch view. This is my actual switch. And here you see all the interfaces, all the port numbers that are available in that switch. To configure a chain, if you remember from the slides, it is as simple as drag and drop 2 endpoints that will form the physical layer 1 chain. So from my slide here, I had port 11 and port 12 up and running. I would just drag and drop them to connect the chain. Now the chain is created. It's that simple. Nothing simpler than that to create a chain. If you want to configure a service, I have one that's already configured, the firewall. I will go and configure another one to show you how you can add multiple services. I will give it a name. Here you say use service, so you can send traffic to that service. You can actually drop traffic from that service. I will use the default, which is use service. You can enable health checks. So for our tools, we can see which tool is up, which tool is down. We can do fail open and fail close for that tool. Under the rules, this is the matching conditions. What kind of traffic you want to send to that tool. We have predefined configuration for your matching rules. You can choose one of them or you can customize your own. So since this is like a web proxy, I will choose the web profile. If you don't like it, if you want to add more rules, you can customize it and click on the customize button. But this will be the default port numbers and the things that we will allow that tool to look at. Click submit. Now the tool profile has been created. The only thing missing is to identify which interfaces will connect that tool to my inline switch. So I will click new service instance, and I will choose 2 port numbers, 22 and 23. These are the physical ports that connect this tool to my inline switch. Over here, you can see the direction of the traffic. You can make this tool symmetric or asymmetric just by clicking on the blue line. So I can tell the tool, you know what, this is a DDoS tool. I don't need to look at the traffic coming from inside my network to outside. I only need to look at traffic coming from outside. So just by clicking on the blue bar, you can define which direction you're interested in. In this case, I will leave it the default settings. I will leave both directions. So now I defined a profile for my service or for my tool. To add it to the chain, I will click on the box. I will select from my drop-down menu which service I'm interested in. I will go and select the proxy. I added the proxy service. I will go and also select the firewall. So I will have both services in the service chain. And actually, you are done. This is the entire configuration. You have the chain, layer 1 chain. You have the services. If you want to add span, it's over here. You can add another span. I have a span 1 already configured, so I will just link it to my chain. You have all the options from a single view.
There's an Ethernet header rewrite going on, I'm assuming, on egress, so it comes in from a host that asked it for another host. You actually...
Bump in the wire. Bump in the
Layer
wire.
1, bump in the wire. If you
No packet rewrite.
One last thing to show you here.
So why would the device in the chain care about this Ethernet frame coming at him that doesn't belong to him?
So a lot of those devices are also configured to be bump in the wire.
The layer 2.
You're
Right.
assuming a layer 2 inspection then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and even if it's not, I mean, you then have to configure IP the right way. Like, so if it's a firewall that's expecting IP, yeah.
That's how I configure them. Something you don't like, you want to delete, just drag it out, delete it. It's really simple to create a chain, to create services, to define rules. So we have a bigger video, a longer one. If you are interested, you can see it on our website. We made this one a little short just to save on time.